Do you even know if the one big, beautiful bill that Trump just recently got passed even affects you? Well, let's get into it. So, you hear all this controversy about the one big, beautiful bill. But I just want to cover a few of the facts. We want to go over at least three disadvantages overall to nonprofit leaders. And then we'll go over three advantages to nonprofits. And then I'll take it from as a worker, if you may be still working the jobs as well, but it'll also help you if part of your mission is to help those who are working or trying to get more sustainable jobs. And then the last one will be more about just the overall tax burden. Okay, so bear with me. I'm trying to go through this. It's a lot, but I really think this is important. Give you something to think about. And this is only a little touch of it. But one of the things I want to encourage all of you all to do, especially as nonprofit leaders, get in a habit of finding out facts. A lot of times you can just pull it up. Now we have AI, it'll give you the references so you can know what really is truth or not, because you can pull up the big, beautiful bill, right? That's so important. And one of the things I want to say this as well for those who are starting nonprofit organizations, a lot of times if you're getting help, this it's really about accountability and people like myself being a coach or nonprofit. For those that don't know, I'm Miss Kathy, but it's really about that accountability. That's really what it's about, and someone helping you fast track it. No one should be helping you file and actually move forward when it comes to compliance based on anything other than the facts, the black and white, what it says. I mean, the IRS, it has to be written. You want the updated. And this is the same thing with the big, beautiful bill. So, as I said, the first three we're going to get into. I hear a lot, there's a lot more, but we're going to talk about the negatives just as a nonprofit organization. And again, this is only important, and it should only be important if this is your mission. So I am on the board of a nonprofit that deals with solar energy, which involves sustainability. So this is something that, of course, we would have conversations about. And it is elimination of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. Now, many of you don't even have a clue, because I didn't either, or what is a greenhouse gas reduction fund. Now, you can't fight every battle. But with this, I will say that there was an opportunity for nonprofit organizations a lot of times to apply for this. There are some things in Tennessee that there is a battle about, and whether we're using natural energy or we're using gases or whatever we're doing, the fact of the matter is we're still using a lot of gas, right? Like, it's still a big debate. So there's investment in it. Even for the people that are fighting against it, it's like, okay, we're not going to change overnight. But honestly, when they increase the grants in this area, the small organizations, including our own, we were trying to figure out how we could even tap into it. Like, what can we do to actually get funding from that area? And this is just because it was part of a bigger bill or a bigger funding source. So it's really kind of hard. For example, if I'm dealing with public housing, the only good thing that's going on right now is that they're building, tearing down a lot of public housing, especially in the major cities, and they're not displacing as people may think, because a lot of times people were there illegally. And I'm not talking about the illegal immigrants. We won't go into that. But they are building a lot of them with sustainable energy now, right? Or natural energy. And they're just making them where they're mixed use, which is a good thing because it's already been proven. If I put all people together that are low economics, that's setting up for failure. But if I do mixed use, a lot of times you're not going to know who has the high income, the low income, the middle income, or what have you. So there might be a certain amount that are percentage that are in this housing, that maybe they're low income and maybe they're just workforce housing. There's, what is there? Low income, there's workforce, there's something else in between, and then you have the middle income, and then you have the higher income. But if I do it by percentages and I don't put them all in one area of apartment units or condo units, you're not going to know the difference, and that helps just overall the sustainability of the value of the property. But just again, it's exposure. It's all about exposure. So I kind of digress, but I'm really going somewhere. You see how I was able to digress? Does it have much to do with the greenhouse gas reduction fund? We should be doing that anyway. Have you ever thought, why is solar so high? Why are having a windmill, why would that be so high? Like, and when I say high, I'm talking about expensive. And some of these things are expensive for no freaking reason, right? We know supply and demand. And if we continue to demand certain things, the prices are going to be reduced. Okay? That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay, let's go. I want to have my paper and, everything in front of me so I won't go too off on a tangent because I'm known to do that. All right, increased tax burden on nonprofit endowments. Hmm, okay, this is funny to me to a point. A lot of times we think that a lot of the laws are for the wealthy, but I know that now we're all talking about if you own a business and you want to reduce your tax burden, then you should start a nonprofit. That is no reason to just start a nonprofit. As a matter of fact, I teach totally opposite of that, because if you're a small nonprofit or even a medium-sized organization, if you have a business, that's hard to do both, especially if you're doing it the wrong way. If your board members are not the ones overseeing everything and you're trying to do that too, I always say you shouldn't start a nonprofit organization unless you, one, money, or you have influence, or both. That is so important. You don't have to be rich, you don't have to be wealthy, but it's good if you do. I mean, back in the day, that was who started nonprofit organizations for the most part. They were people who either retired, they didn't need a lot. They were either wealthy, or even if they weren't wealthy, that houses are paid for, vehicles are paid for, and they lived a very moderate lifestyle. So let's get back to this tax burden. I just think that it stops people from abusing this, right? So if I start a foundation to get, or somebody dies and they leave these endowments, all of that together, it just was a little shady. It got out of hand. So does this affect you? Probably not the majority who are listening to me. We're not talking about the wealthy. We're talking about people that just had a heart and they want to start a nonprofit organization. 9 times out of 10, you're not doing a private foundation. That's two different things. Another conversation. That's all I'm going to say about that. Because as a matter of fact, what you should be doing is diversifying revenue streams, reducing reliance on endowment, and that's why you're going to have a variety of streams and ways that you're going to get funding. Okay, we talk about that all the time. It should not be just relying on grants. And then I'm going to go to corporate charitable giving floor. So the bill establishes a 1% threshold for corporate charitable contributions to qualify for tax deductions, potentially reducing the incentive for corporations to engage in philanthropic activities. Well, 1%. What's 1% of a million? 1% of a million is $10,000. So if you have these corporations, a lot of times they have billions of dollars. Is that going to stop you from getting money? No. Stop it. So once again, those that make, and we say $1 million. So that's neither here nor there. I don't think for small and medium-sized nonprofits that's part of your battle. It shouldn't be. Who cares? You're not even getting 10,000, the majority of you. You're not getting 5,000. You're barely getting 500 when it comes to corporations. How do I know? Because I have a little group and I just talk about one grant And I can't tell you how many people do not apply for it. It comes out every single quarter, it's active, and they're not applying for it. $500. Okay. Once again, I told you I am trying my best not to digress. So you see what I'm saying? I just gave you three different ones. One had to do with, I'm going to say it like this, the greenhouse gas reduction. The other one was the tax burden on nonprofit endowments, that's private foundations. The other was expansion of, well, that's one I didn't talk about, but corporate charitable giving floor. Still, it's not major for you. Okay, so let's get into, this is what I did was, let me skip the family and the tax advantages. Let me get to the ones that have to do with okay, here's a good one. I said nonprofits, but what I'm saying is the people that you're serving a lot of times are going to be the families and the individuals. So I started with healthcare, and I'm going to read it so I make sure that I don't get anything wrong. Expanded access to affordable healthcare. Now, these are the positives. If the bill includes provisions related to healthcare, such as expanding access to health insurance or reducing prescription drug costs, regular workers and families stand to benefit. Most affordable healthcare options can reduce financial stress, improve access to necessary treatments, and contribute to a healthier workforce overall. So some of us are focusing on, oh, Medicare is going away. Oh, they're not going to get Medicare. But on the other side of that, for those that don't know, I've been in healthcare for over 30 years as a nurse. So I get to see that other side of things with people fighting. And one thing I know that a lot of times if you're on Medicaid and Medicare, it would get cut off if you made a certain level of income. But now with some of the other parts of this bill, it's saying that, for example, mothers, if you have children 10 and under, then from what I understand, you're not made to have to go to work if you make below a certain income, right? This is still dealing with low income, of course, but a lot of things have been raised, such as getting childcare. Now, that income has been raised. So a two-person family, a two-person adult, we'll say a mother and a father, can literally work and still get childcare benefits. It still exists, you guys, and you have to go state by state and sometimes city by city because it's different territories or areas that are hurting worse than others. I've known people that battle cancer or say they're 65 and they're getting Medicare. Well, now basically there's a certain level you can work 20 hours. I think it's 20 hours a week. It averages out or 80 hours a month that you still can work. Okay. Sometimes in the beginning, you're really sick and you can't work at all, but then they might need sustainability. I need to find something I can get paid on the table. I hear that so much. Let's get paid on the table and still be able to get certain benefits because we know that the amount of money it takes for prescriptions and things like that. And if you work part time, a lot of times you can't get health insurance. So if you still can keep your affordable health care and be able to work, that's a bonus, right? Every situation is different. So we have to know what we're fighting for. And sometimes you take your community that you're dealing with and fight for their needs. And a lot of times they're not going to fall into this. They still qualify for a lot of things. Okay. The other area, because I know a lot of nonprofits are dealing with helping with, or you should be, with that sustainability piece of getting jobs. I am so tired of hearing, and again, these are positives, right? I'm tired of hearing that AI is taking over the jobs. I don't know about you all, but when was the last time you've gone to a grocery store, or even we talk about Walmart or places like Walmart, and there's no workers, or they're not even paying attention to you. But the ones that self checkout, there's a bunch of them there, right? So my partner, he's so funny. He called me the other day and he said, you know what? There's two people that are near the cash register, but they're not there. And there's a whole lot of checkout counters. This is the middle of the day. There's hardly anybody in there. He said, I do not work at Walmart. I'd be darned if I'm going to pay my good hard earned money. And I'm going to have to act like I work here too. So He asked the caregivers, I'm so stuck on healthcare, but he asked the workers, I need to get checked out, right? He started a movement because another a senior older lady actually said, you know what, I need to get checked out too. I said if it was a lot of people in there, I could see the everybody changing their mind. But my point is that people aren't working. It's not that the jobs are taken. When you see McDonald's paying 17, 18, $19 at the cash register, Home Depot paying $20 at the cash register, or the people that's walking around are getting $15 to $20. Come on, you guys. There's a shortage. People aren't working. So this is where nonprofit leaders, you have to learn to do mindset coaching. Yes. You have to motivate and you have to help. It's almost like hand holding and teach the people and go with the people because you're like a liaison. You can do it. They trust you to get them help. A lot of this, what's going on, is just mental. It's not physical at all. Immigration, if you're not dealing with immigration as your mission, quit talking about that. Deal with your community. Deal with your people, getting a job, going back to school. And when I say school, I'm talking about getting a skill. Getting a skill, getting a trade, even if it's about AI. Okay? Once again, I digress. Because number two, I talked about affordable health care. The other one is increased job security and wage support. We can't do things like we used to do. So even me as a nurse, thankfully, I kind of grasped that IT when it first started. But if you're not going that route, if you're just saying, I'm not going to learn this, I'm too old to get on the computer, you're going to get left out. Robotics are doing surgery now, not replacing a job, but because it's more fine tuned, because it helps with the surgery. You're not having more botch. You're preventing the botched surgeries because somebody moved too much. It's You all just don't get it. It's a shortage because people aren't working. It's not because AI is taking over. It's not because robotics and technology is taking over. It's not because of that. So, what do you want to do? Some versions of this bill may aim to boost job security by providing incentives for businesses to invest in workers or increasing wage supports. Some of those bonuses are still there for businesses to provide. Minimum wage adjustments, that's already been happening. Even if you don't do the minimum wage, your minimum wage in your city might still be 6.75 or something. I don't even know what it is now, 7.25. But I don't know too many jobs that pay 7.25. You can go be a sitter as a not even getting your certification as a CNA in healthcare. And you can make at least $15. If you do it private duty, you might make $25 to $30 an hour, believe it or not. And there's a shortage there. People that can pay can hardly find people that will sit with their family member. Digress, let me go back. Okay, so this ensures that regular workers have more financial stability, helping families to thrive without worrying as much about sudden income loss or stagnant wages. Because a lot of times when I'm helping, because I do some things regardless of having a nonprofit or not, I will help individuals. And again, a lot of times it's mindset, it's providing resources and or showing them the resources that are around. Like I'm not providing any resources, but I'm showing them the resources that apply to them. For example, there is no one that makes under really $60,000 or $50,000 a year that you should be paying for college. Go to school in your state. The first degree is free. That's for anyone, any state. Challenge me, let me know what your state is and that you think you don't have it in your state. I can prove you wrong. Okay. That's one thing. The other benefit is when you work a job, I don't care what you make, I don't care if you go work at McDonald's, Burger King, or whatever, it is a major corporation. They have 401ks. Quit listening to the noise because even if you have a 401k, you literally can go in there and diversify that to a point. If you're 20 years old, put $100 a month in there, put $200, maximize it to the point where it does not affect your take home pay. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just stick with me. Just stick with me here. There's a lot of things I learned way back when I was 18 years old. Okay. And I've been telling people now I'm getting a little bolder and I'm just talking to those who will listen. But if you, as a nonprofit leader, are not knowledgeable enough, bring the people in. You literally can get someone from one of the major brokerages to come talk. You literally can get someone from the bank to come talk. It's not about having a lot of money, it's about what you do with your money. So you literally, once again, a lot of the jobs are offering education for free or reimbursement, all the way up to even there's grants and things that you can apply for, scholarships to get your master's degree. Depending upon what you're getting in your doctorate degree, you might even go for free as well, especially my faith-based organizations. That's a whole nother conversation. But what I'm saying is, I teach, if you graduate and you're making $50,000 to $60,000 on a job, stay where you live. If it's Section 8, stay in that apartment and just pay the rent, or let them decrease the amount that maybe Section 8 is paying, but put your money away. Budget. We need to be teaching budgets, okay? Get out of that conversation of everybody struggling. And I've known this ever since I've been a nurse, and I've watched people go from CNA, which back in the day, maybe they didn't make a whole lot, but believe it or not, as a nurse, fresh out of school, as an LPN, you only made it maybe $3 more. And then as an RN, maybe $2 more than the LPN. Why would you be going to get this big old house? There's companies that you can go through, or programs that you can go through, and first time owner, homeowner. Get a starter home, a 3-bedroom. Quit telling me nothing is affordable. There are still homes out there, even if you have to move a little further out. It does not matter. Don't live over your means. Don't live at your means. Stay where you are just a little bit longer and put away the funds. Pay off that car before you go get a house, right? Your interest rate will be lower. And why do you need a new car? I don't know. But these are the things we should be teaching. Okay, let me move on. Improve family support programs, okay, related to family leave, child care assistance. I mentioned that, housing support. On one end, they're talking about cutting it off, but why should somebody be on food stamps, or I don't know the correct terminology right now. I don't care. But food stamps, public housing, whatever, living in the projects, whatever. Why should we be doing that forever and ever and ever and ever and ever? I understand if someone is disabled. I understand if someone be there. I don't even understand if they're not skilled enough. Because there's some basic things, like I said, people are working double shifts in nursing. And I know for a fact that they make $30 an hour, $25 an hour. What is time and a half? Time and a half of $30 an hour is $40 an hour. But what's happening is you're paying more taxes. Whole nother conversation. Live at your means. I don't care if you're a single mom. I would challenge you to come to me. If you're struggling, let's talk about a budget. You know what? Let's find a nonprofit that you can get in a program and that can support you. Because a lot of times that's where we need to get the funding for teaching. And sometimes you don't even need it for that. You can use these resources like the banks and other people that want to give back, and they'll come and they'll help. Okay, so the advantage to help a more sustainable, supportive environment by working families, promoting a stronger, more sustainable community, right? Okay, the next one, I just want to go into tax benefits. This is another positive. Okay, so they're saying they're increasing the child tax credit to $2,500 per qualifying child through 2028. Who cares about 2029? Who cares about who's going to be president for this? I'm saying, if it exists, take the credit for it. That's what I'm saying. I don't even know how to say anything else. And then they have these Trump accounts, introduction to that, offering $1,000 investment account for every baby born between 2025 and 2028. If that applies to you, go for it. Parents can contribute up to $5,000 annually for these tax deferred accounts. Put $100 and start that account for that baby. Put $200. Get the grandparents to do it. We don't need the Jordans. We don't need all this other stuff. And they're going to wear these shoes and these clothes for only 2 to 3 months. up until age 10 probably, and then they're still going to have another growth spurt. Start investing in your children or getting others to invest in your children. Hey, let's start a party by doing that instead of getting all the gifts, or get the gifts and still get that. Okay. And then let's see, one more for children. There's an enhanced child independent care credit covering up to 35% of qualifying expenses for child care services such as daycare, allowing families to claim up to $6,000 for two or more dependents. Come on, you guys. If it applies to you, that's what you need to grasp. If it does not apply to you, quit talking about the negative and let's find the benefits and let them go with you. So we can't fight all the battles. Okay? So now let's talk about small business owners, because what I'm going to start doing is pivoting a little bit for my nonprofit leaders. Some of you, it does not make sense that you're trying to get your income from your nonprofit. Like I said, you should be starting a nonprofit if you have money and or influence. I am sticking to that. Some of you have stepped out there, and because you had your heart, you got into these nonprofits and you're struggling yourself. That is not what a leader should be doing. You can't encourage other people to do better if you're not doing better. It's tough. It's a tough conversation. And sometimes I can't say it directly to some of the nonprofits, but I know their situation. I'm like, get yourself straight and then come back, because you don't need a 501c3 just to help people. Sometimes you just, your neighbor, your friend, the person on the job, get some canned goods for them. I had $25 worth of grocery. I don't know. You don't need to do the big scale leadership. I digressed again, didn't I? I'm sorry. But what I meant by I'm going to pivot on talking about some small business ideas and things that you can get into. I know I've had some of the leaders that I've worked with, and they're very creative. I'm like, start your t-shirt business, but don't put it with the nonprofit organization. Make your money with the t-shirt business, and then you donate, right? And then you can get other people. Like, you can get people to buy stuff and say a portion of the proceeds. Nobody asks what's the percentage, just a portion of the proceeds. If you got to say 10%, it doesn't matter. People will buy some time just because they know what you're doing and that you're going to give it to the nonprofit organization. And I'm saying it like this because you are not the nonprofit organization. You are not. But we want to donate to for the purpose of the programs. And I talked about that a few weeks ago. What I do if I started a nonprofit organization. Programs, you guys. You got to start doing things that are transitional in people's lives. Okay? So, for small businesses, increasing the pass-through deduction, allowing eligible small business organizations to deduct up to 20% of their net business income, reducing taxable income and lowering tax liabilities. If that means nothing to you or you don't understand it, talk to your accountant. Start a business today. Get your LLC, your S Corp, whatever it is. Get those benefits. So if you're going to donate a certain portion of your proceeds, it's going to reduce your liability even as a small business. I keep hearing everything that Trump is doing is for rich people. Stop that. Stop that. Find the things that are for small businesses. Find the things that are for people that are low income. Find the things that are for people that are working class. Whatever applies to you, and let's go with that. If you're a nonprofit leader, whatever your mission is, let's go with that. And only that. And then there's tax-free wages for children under 18. This is huge. If you have a nonprofit and you're dealing with youth, why aren't you encouraging them to work just a few hours a week and still having your tutoring program? Why in America we start training? Oh, we don't train our youth on how to budget, how to get their housing, even for those that are fostering out of what they call it, fostering out of aging out of fostering program, whatever it is, when they're foster children and then they become 18, there's a large amount of them that are homeless because all of a sudden you're going to go from pillar to post living with these different people. You haven't learned independence at all. And then they're going to throw you out in the street. Youth is considered up to 25 years old. So even if they've been emancipated at 16, we should be helping them. I talked about, I'm going to say this, I know this is kind of digressing, but already the Department of Labor had some funding. They had a program where they were collaborating and partnering with SNAP, which would allow skill training, such as, plumbing or construction, any of the areas of construction. There was a few other laboring. It didn't matter if it was for the father or for the mother, but if they had a child, they would go through these programs for free and be able to get paid. So now they're seeing tax-free wages. So that means it says without paying Social Security, Medicare, and unemployment taxes up to the standard deduction limit, 15,000 in 2025. That's why, you guys, when you're getting your taxes done, you don't need to do them yourself. There's a benefit to getting someone, I forgot what they're called when they're not accountants, but they have a certain certification with being able to do taxes. Not your run of the mill, just I can just plug in and play, but some people that have studied and they have to take classes for the new laws of each year. You need to go to those people, or an accountant, a certified public accountant or an accountant. Because if you're not getting this deduction and you have a child that's under 18, I know some people work at 15, if they could get all their money and get home, take all their money home, you know how much that would help them, And then I have to say this, you guys. If you're single, why are you living alone and complaining about money? I'm hearing that people are in their cars and all of this. If I have 4 people that are in their cars and I go get a 3-bedroom or a 2-bedroom and 2 people stay in each room, or one person stay in the living room or whatever, you should be working. Work. Like, I had children and I would do 12-hour shifts, sometimes 5 days a week. Work. You come home to eat and sleep. That should be it. But if I pull my money together with 3 other people, I can save up some money. Yes, you can save up some money. Sometimes we got to get into survival mode, you know? Okay? So, the other one I want to say, what's the other one? Maybe it's important, maybe it's not, but solo 401k retirement plan. Self-employed individuals and small business owners with no full-time employees other than themselves and their spouses can establish a solo 401k. The plan allows for higher contribution limits, including both employee deferral and employer profit sharing contributions, facilitating significant retirement savings. Once again, if you have a job, if you have well, it was hard for self-employed people sometimes to start these. Now they're giving you the go ahead. Don't listen to the negatives. Yes, we know the stock market crashes and all that, but for everything that goes down, something goes up. So you need to learn how, or get someone to teach you, or get a broker, a reputable brokerage account, open it. There's YouTube University, but learn how to diversify, right? I'm in healthcare. We're hearing about tariffs and all that stuff. So what's going to happen when the tariffs come? That means the medicine is going to go up. But what you might not have known, that you literally could go get your medication filled. If you could get the same medication filled every single day, you will find that according to the stock market, it goes up and down, believe it or not. It does. It already does. Okay, am I going to fight that battle and worry about how expensive medications? I can't change that if I need the medication. But what I can do is find out how to get the discounts. What I can do on the other side of that is invest in that freaking medication. I can invest in these companies, even if it's $50. And that's a whole nother subject. But why aren't we having little communities, little meetups to talk about how to do that? That could be part of your nonprofit organization. Did you all get something out of it? I hope so, because I was just determined I was going to find the positives of this one big beautiful bill. If it goes away next month, it goes away next month. But are you taking advantage of the things that you can do right now? So what did I cover? I gave you the 3 disadvantages. That's all I wanted to go over. You all can find plenty on the internet. And then I wanted to talk about how, as a nonprofit organization, whether you're dealing with families, individuals, those who, for job, for employment, or for housing, how that benefits who you're serving, as well as yourself. And then I talked about as a small business, because as I mentioned, I'm going to start pivoting toward teaching how to start a small business as a nonprofit leader. Even if you're a teacher, how can you become a consultant, educational consultant? If you're in healthcare, and how can you be a consultant? At least have that, even if you work a job, start that small business or at least have it registered, because you never know where that opportunity comes. A lot of times there's collaboration with nonprofit organizations to be able to get grant funding. Okay, so that was a lot. If nothing else, if you have started your nonprofit organization, you want to start a nonprofit organization, remember I have a free school, SKOOL community, that has a free grant writing course. I'm going to be offering some low cost, like people are asking about how do I fundraise, things like that. I'm actually going to add that course for a very, very low cost. And the more I work on it, I'm like, I need to get extra for this. But I'm not going to do that. All I ask is that you use the resources that I have provided and you make the impact, that you create these programs that transition people's lives for the better. That's all I ask. Okay? All right. And the link is always in the description. So join the community and I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.